Staten Island! How the fuck did it get Staten Island? What? It got New York and Staten Island. What is going on? It's Roblox Queen's Gambit Staten Island. I'm whom Walmart recognized.
Come to Staten Island and see me play baseball today?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, he just said Staten Island. He just said the ferry. Staten Island ferry mentioned. I mean, I can't, but you know, in general. Whoa, 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 whoa! Staten Island ferry. You know, there's actually turkeys on Staten Island, and they just like get people into car accidents and shit. And I don't live. To be clear, just again, I live on Staten Island, which is more New Jersey-like than it is Manhattan. It's part of New York City. It's one of the 5 boroughs of New York City, so it's a I think there's a point where you're just like, you live on Staten Island, and you just find out everyone that you know knows at least someone or is someone that is addicted to prescription pills. I like this a lot. It's me looking over into Manhattan from my vantage point of filthy Staten Island. It's nice. I mean, I don't really live in the city. I don't live in the big city. Staten Island is way more like New Jersey, but it's, you know, still busy. It's like really populated little island. How'd you get Brother Man Bill to do a shout out? He's from Staten Island. We got a real winning chat message. All right, Vinny, are you ironically from Staten Island? I live here ironically because I like to be a part of a joke. Like, I want it to be funny for the chat and for people on the internet. No, it's fine. I worked at a community television station here in this borough of Staten Island that I live in New York. You know, I'm always happy to check out Staten Island. It's quite a dump. I love living in a city, but even though I'm not really in the city, Staten Island's not entirely citied out. But I like living close to a city. I would live in Manhattan. I would probably really enjoy it if I did. Well, it's not necessarily New York City, but where I'm from, the part of New York I'm from, Staten Island, very Catholic, very traditional, very old school, very Italian, very Irish, very Christian values. Someone said New Jersey is not a dump. Stop it. I literally did not say the words New Jersey. I'm from Staten Island, New York. Chat, what's the capital of New York? Go. Staten Island. Right. Very good. Did you see the recent trailer for Pete Davidson's King of Staten Island? Yes, and they filmed some of that in a home that I'm very familiar with. In a home that I will tell you I grew up going to. Maybe it's shitty Cleveland, or shitty Staten Island, where I'm from. Problem is, we have wild turkeys on Staten Island that attack cats. These fucking turkeys are everywhere, and people like them and feed them. They're probably really upset, and then they look me up and they're like, oh, he's from Staten Island too. Alright. Someone just said that now in chat. New York City is really big, and I live on Staten Island, which is part of New York City, but it takes me like an hour and a half to get to Manhattan, which is, you know, the place where the city is. Like the big building. I am perpetually in New York City, even though I live on Staten Island. And I wouldn't even really consider myself that kind of New Yorker. I'm from Staten Island. It's a little bit different. Some people may not know this. I don't live in like a big apartment pizza pasta building in the city. I actually live on Staten Island, which is about an hour away. I don't live in New York City. Like, I live in New York City, but not Manhattan. Or Brooklyn. Staten Island just has houses. I live well, technically Staten Island is a part of New York City. It's one of the 5 boroughs. But we don't have those big ass buildings. Well, I mean, you're in Manhattan, I'm in Staten Island. That's like an hour away almost. Living in New York City, even Staten Island, we don't have a lot of them farms.
Protect them. We have concealment. Let's move.
Staten Island, New York.
This is where they were hiding Hassan. Expect resistance. Todos los equipos listos para contención. Preparen para abrir brecha.
Seriously, I am one of the least Italian American people on Staten Island. Like, where I live, there are people that are like, hey, how you doing? It's me. Let's see, from C, I am one of the least Italian American people on Staten Island. Vincenzo, Vinny Pizza Pasta, Pastarelli. Screw you, C. I don't live in Manhattan or Brooklyn or the Bronx or anything like that. I'm in I'm in good shape right now on Staten Island, at least. Terrible Tim, who many of you know, that's from Staten Island Public Access. I know Terrible Tim. Santa is flying right over Staten Island. That's where I'm from. Actually, no. He's not going to Staten Island. He's going to Brooklyn. And then he's going to Manhattan. He's not. Fuck. As someone that lives in a city-ish. Well, it is. Staten Island is technically part of the city, but. What the hell are you talking about? Only Brooklyn and Queens. I'm in Staten Island. Okay? I'm calling this number. We're going to find out what is going on here.
Thank you for calling Super Mario Brothers Plumbing. It's the me, Luigi.
And yet they got, like, this dude? I thought that dude was in Staten Island, where I live. By the way, those are people that I see on a semi-regular basis here in Staten Island, New York. There's apparently people doing drugs in people's backyards on Staten Island lately. Like, they'll just sneak into your backyard, do some crack, and then leave. Can I do a Staten Island accent? Yeah, I can do that. You're telling me that my son can't learn Italian in Staten Island, New York? Get the fuck out of here. Did you see that car flip in the distance? Do the people in Night City not know how to drive? Is this Staten Island?
Doing what I can. What I said to my output.
Cool potholes in Night City. Cool future tech. What is this, fucking Staten Island? Okay. And freaking Turkey. What is this, Staten Island? Vinny, do you smell like the famous Staten Island dump? Can we go back to not getting questions? Vinny, you live in New York City. I actually live in Staten Island, which is a little different. You say I do shit talk Staten Island because I have a weird love-hate relationship with this place. It's mostly disappointing to me, but then there are other times I love it. And I really do love where I live. Someone just laughed and said driving in New York. You laugh, but I don't live in New York City the same way most people think I do. I live in Staten Island, which is just a... You know, there's actually turkeys on Staten Island, and they just, like, get people into car accidents and shit. Yeah, you can live a quiet New York life. I live in Staten Island. But, see what I did there? I don't live in Manhattan or Brooklyn. I live in Staten Island. Vinesause, are you from New Jersey? No, New York. Well, Staten Island is close enough to Jersey. Here in Staten Island, New York, it is currently 73 degrees. Vinny, what's the best way out of the way place to eat at Staten Island? I live on Staten Island. There's no N. Start with Newark. That's departure. And we're gonna head there and fly over Staten Island. That's where it's... I want to see it. I did already. I'm just gonna take a look at it. Vinny, go to Epstein Island. How come the crows that live on Staten Island aren't raspy? Like, these crows have a rasp to them. The ones that I'm aware of, they're just like, ah! Ah! Yeah, Staten Island guy, so I mean, technically, yeah. I'm from New York City.
Yeah, you're a New Yorker.
Close enough, close enough. I got recognized on Staten Island, where I live, how many times? Twice? Like, if you're on Staten Island, which is, as you know, where I live, there are speeding cameras everywhere. I am from Staten Island, yeah. But I'm not really even from Manhattan, I'm from Staten Island. Vinny, you're always talking about New York as if you'd love living there. Don't you live on Staten Island? Yeah, I do. New York is a... Staten Island is a borough of New York City. It's one of the 5 boroughs. Technically, I live in New York City. And Manhattan's only a 40-minute drive away. Depending on traffic, of course. Hour and a half commute. Otherwise, hour and a half. But even Staten Island, like, I'm in New York, and it's not too far from Brooklyn. It's not too far from New Jersey. I'm kind of like right in the middle of everything.
Environmental disaster in history.
Jesus Christ, right off the shore of my home. Right by Staten Island. Also, for the record, Staten Island, you know, this is very close to where Staten Island is. That's where I live. Sometimes I wonder if Staten Island is real, and I fucking live here. You lived in New York City. No, I live in New York City. Well, no, I mean, Staten Island is part of New York City. I live here. I live in... Did you know that's how they got their name? The explorer, John Staten, was across the ocean, and he said... He looked at the island, and he said, Staten Island? I think he meant Manhattan, since you live in Long Island. I actually live in Staten Island.
You should be proud hometown.
I'm quite proud hometown, thank you. Staten Island, we have turkeys. That's what we have. Growing up in New York City, or near New York City, at the very least, Staten Island is a part of New York City, but it's kind of also not the city. There's, you know... Vinny, you're on Bedrock. What do you think, I'm in the Flintstones? Chad, I'm on Staten Island. Someone said, how can you afford to live in New York City and have your own washer dryer? Dog, Staten Island is not exactly what you think when you think New York City. It's a little different. The question is, are you in New York City? Okay, and then the next one is, are you in Staten Island? And then the next one is, was Vinny riding a motor scooter? And if the answer is no, then the answer is no, you didn't see Vinny. Vinny, the thing is, he looked exactly like you, but he had big ADS earrings. Big-ass earrings, so I didn't think it was you. Okay, flowchart has been modified. Did I see Vinny? Is it in Staten Island, New York? Okay. Both no? Did I have big-ass earrings? This is Percocet! That's the song for where I live, Staten Island. That's our song, that's our theme song. I had a version of that Halloween song for Staten Island. It went like this. This is Percocet, this is Percocet, Percocet, Percocet. There was a bit of a Percocet problem here like 10 years ago, so... Oh, yeah. I thought it was being funny. Vinny, how do you have power? Doesn't New York City, most of New York City have no power? I live on Staten Island, which is frequently called the Forgotten Borough. I think the power outage forgot about us. Thanks, Etika. You know, I'm in Staten Island if you want to hang out. Also, where do you live? If you don't live on Staten Island, New York, there's absolutely zero chance that we could do something like that. I don't live in New York City. I live in Staten Island, which is its own thing. Just open your windows. You know where I live, right? Like, I live in Staten Island. What do you mean you live in Staten Island? How do I become an authentic New Yorker? I don't even think I am. I'm from Staten Island, man. I couldn't give you that info. Now, I live in Staten Island, and it is much more suburban, and a car is almost necessary. We don't have subways, we have one elevated rail, we have a bus system, it's pretty good. That's why, again, I'm glad I live on Staten Island, because we have lots of really nice parks. I like the parks a lot.
And I wanted to say personally that I've lived in Brooklyn my whole life. So what you've done means a lot to me.
I lived in Staten Island my whole life, which, by the way, early on in the game, they say is not a real borough.
So remember, wool is
I don't live in Manhattan.
synthetics.
I live in Staten Island, which is separate.
You can count on me to give you the
Someone's like, what part of Manhattan do you live in? No, I don't live in Manhattan. Contrary to some belief, I only visit occasionally. But I am part of New York City. There's 5 boroughs that make up New York City, and Staten Island is one of them, which kind of shouldn't be. Well, not in the city itself. I live... Have you ever heard of... Okay, here's the true test. Has anyone here ever heard of Staten Island? Alright, this is my home. I live here. It may suck, but it's all we've got. I'm talking about Staten Island. Yeah, but I don't live in the city part of New York. I live in the burbs a little bit, kind of. Staten Island, there's parking. That's one of the nice things. It is your duty as a New Yorker to shit on Jersey? Yeah, but I'm a Staten Islander. Vinny, are you serious that New York, of all places, doesn't sell that? I have to go to Manhattan for that. I live in Staten Island, as many of you know. I'm in Staten Island.
Good.
But
Now you're moving.
I like metal and smoke. I live in New York City.
Stay low.
Well, take that lightly. Staten Island is
Full double jump.
more like this
Follow
than
the
it
trail.
is metal and smoke.
We've retaken.
One. Can we? Oh yeah, it's yeah, it's Long Island and there's Staten Island right there.
Oh wow. You're pointing at yourself.
Yeah. It used to be a big landfill, now it's a park. Have fun. Except I don't think it's even open. But regardless. I have access to the whole world, the whole earth, and yet I'm at the Staten Island dump. Welcome to my home, everybody. I don't even know if it'll work. Take a train? Oh, I'd love to, but I'm from Staten Island, and we don't know what the fuck trains are here on Staten Island. We have one train, and it smells like cheese. I live in a suburb-ish. Staten Island is much more suburban than, like, Brooklyn or Queens, as I've talked about a number of times. I like it here. I do. Hide somewhere on Staten Island. I'll look around, and when I find you, yeah, you're gonna pop out and go yahaha, but you gotta go to Staten Island because I'm not from Manhattan or Brooklyn, you know, where the Mario Brothers live. Do I live in the city or outside of it? Technically, I live in the city. Staten Island is one of the 5 boroughs of New York City. That is a technicality. No one wants Staten Island, though. That's the thing.
Brooklyn for
like
pizza.
4 hours.
I would drive to Brooklyn for a pizza, yeah. Remember, I'm not far from Brooklyn. Staten Island and Brooklyn border each other, so it's not too bad, but it was worth it.
That is true.
It was also an adventure, Nary.
That's a language-focused one where you always get put in front of a place with some kind of language in front of you.
Why don't we do Staten Island, New York?
Caution children, this is English.
Once again, playing a worldly game just to return to Staten Island.
Yeah, every time I fly in video games like Flight Simulator, I'm like, let me go back to Staten Island. All right.
20.
Yeah, because I got nothing. I can't get out of the park.
Separate numbers, 6 and 20.
This is Staten Island.
Oh, always.
That's where you grew up.
Yeah, dude, that's Central Park, man.
This is where Vinesauce grew up, Staten Island.
Oh yeah, by the way, Vinny, those fire
Staten Island is the skunk.
If you shoot it.
The what? Fuck bits. And all 3 of them found a way to work into their act, their set. That Staten Island was not a real borough, and that Staten Island was shit and trash.
Oh my god! What the hell's wrong with you? And that was the first one in here! Oh god!
In some way. You know, some were less mean about it. But it was funny. I laughed. I don't really care. It's just a bunch of land. I don't give a shit. Okay, here we go. We got some skells. Which is just another word for the residents of my hometown of Staten Island. Skells.
Super reflux every time I drink hard liquor now.
Yeah, we're getting Domino's. Someone's like, they live in New York, but they're getting Domino's.
Yeah.
We live on Staten Island.
Well, we have
amazing pizzerias here, but
We have pizzeria,
the
but
problem is they're all closed right now.
They close early. And this is the only one that delivers that's nearby.
Here's the thing.
Yep, suburban Staten Island, New York. And Mario Brothers 3. That is me. It's cool because I still live, you know, on Staten Island. I was born and grew up on Staten Island, so for me, you know, again, I live in a city where, and even if Staten Island isn't particularly city, it's pretty densely populated, and, you know, the weather sucks. And no, I don't have a photographic memory of New York City. I live in Staten Island. It's a little different. Because I'm from New York. We got rats all over the place, huh? Well, you're right. I don't live in New York. I live in Staten Island, which is a little different. That one must learn, especially if you live in New York City. Maybe not as much outside the city, because I'm in Staten Island, which is not as cetaceous, but... Bro, you live in New York. I live in Staten Island. It's much friendlier. I couldn't live in New York City. Well, I do, but I couldn't live in Manhattan. I just couldn't. No. Well, I don't live in New York City. I do, but it's Staten Island is very, as I say a million times on my streams, it is very suburban and very chill compared to the rest. I see, you know, I don't see as many rats as people would think. I do live in Staten Island and not Manhattan. Manhattan. How accurate is this to rural American life? I don't know. I don't live in America. I live in Staten Island. It's a land of magic and wizardry.
What's his name?
I'm not from Jersey.
Wait, what the? You're from New York?
I'm a Staten Islander, man.
This is Johnny Stanton from the Staten Island Ferry. Judy?
Well,